I've been a high school janitor for almost 15 years, and I've seen every kind of mess imaginable. Broken windows, graffiti, even the occasional fight that leaves a trail of blood for me to mop up. But nothing prepared me for what happened that night in the gym. It was a Thursday, the kind of late October night where the wind moans through the vents and the floors creak even when no one's walking. The school was empty except for me, a few teachers finishing grades, and the basketball team doing extra practice for the homecoming game. The gym lights cast that weird yellow tint over everything, buzzing with that faint electrical hum that never stops. I remember sweeping under the bleachers, earbuds in, listening to some old rock playlist. Every few minutes I'd glance at the scoreboard clock. Just habit. Around 8:10 p.m., the coach blew his whistle and called practice to an end. The players started packing up, laughing, throwing towels, the usual teenage chaos. I started mopping near the entrance doors, trying to wrap up my shift. That's when the PA system crackled to life. It was the principal's voice, but distorted, warbling and static-filled. "Attention, all staff and students. We are now in lockdown. This is not a drill. Please proceed to the nearest secure area and lock all doors." At first, everyone froze, then chaos. The coach barked orders, the players panicked, some even laughed nervously, thinking it was a prank. But then the announcement repeated, clearer this time, sharper. "This is not a drill. Lockdown, immediately." I dropped my mop and ran to the door to check the hallway. But when I pulled, it wouldn't move. The gym doors were locked. From the outside, I pulled again, nothing. Tried the other door, nothing. The coach came over, trying his key, but it wouldn't fit. Like the lock had changed. "Must be a system malfunction," he muttered, frowning. But there was something in his tone. Something uncertain. We all stood there, hearing the wind howl through the vents, the buzz of the lights, the faint echo of sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. Then the PA system came on again. "Remain calm. Do not look at the windows." That's when everything changed. The players laughed nervously, whispering, "What windows?" since the gym only had high rectangular panes near the ceiling. But I looked up anyway. The lights flickered once, and I swear, just for a second, I saw a silhouette pressed against the glass. It wasn't a person. It was too long, too narrow. Its head tilted at an impossible angle, almost upside down. The light buzzed again, and it was gone. Did you see that?" one of the kids asked. Nobody answered. The coach told everyone to move to the locker rooms, keep their heads down, stay away from the doors. We listened, but I couldn't stop glancing up at those windows. The shadows looked wrong, stretched, jittery, like they weren't matching the flicker of the lights. Once inside the locker room, the coach tried his phone. No signal. Mine was dead too. Every time someone checked, the time froze at 8:17 p.m. The air felt heavy, like the humidity before a storm, except the walls started dripping. Not water, something oily, dark, leaving streaks down the white paint. One of the kids, Trevor, muttered, "It smells like pennies." Blood. I tried to tell myself it was rust from the old pipes, but when I touched it, it was warm. Then we heard it, the thud from above us, something big moving in the ceiling. Not footsteps, not an animal. A dragging sound followed by a deep, hollow breathing that vibrated through the vents. The coach grabbed a metal bat from the equipment rack, trying to look brave, but I could see his hands shaking. "Stay put," he whispered. "I'll check it out." He barely made it 3 steps before the PA came on again. "Do not separate. Do not open any doors." It knows. We all froze. The coach stopped mid-step. The players started whispering, their voices trembling. "What knows? What's going on?" That's when every locker door slammed open at once. Like something ran its hands down the rows, metal clanging in perfect rhythm. Everyone screamed, the lights flickered, and in the brief strobe, I saw something. Long arms crawling along the ceiling, fingers hooked into the metal grates, pulling itself forward like a spider. Then the lights went out completely, pitch black. Someone screamed, then another. I heard a wet, tearing sound. The smell of iron got stronger. I felt something brush past my leg, cold and slick. The emergency lights flickered on a few seconds later. The coach was gone. All that was left was his bat, bent in half. We barricaded the locker room door with benches and equipment. The players were crying, whispering prayers. I sat by the exit, trying to control my breathing. Every few minutes we'd hear movement outside, something dragging across the gym floor. Sometimes it would stop right outside the door. We'd hear it sniffing like it was breathing us in. At one point, Trevor whispered, "Why is the clock still at 8:17? I looked. The wall clock hadn't moved an inch. That's when it clicked. Time wasn't moving. Or at least not here. Whatever had us trapped wasn't from our world. Hours or minutes passed. I lost track. The lights buzzed again, and for a split second, I saw shadows under the door, hands, hundreds of them dragging along the floor, pulling at the cracks like they wanted in. The PA crackled again. But this time the voice wasn't the principal. It was distorted, deeper, layered with whispers. You looked. The players started screaming. The door began to bend inward, like something was pushing from the other side. Metal groaned. Bolts popped. I grabbed the emergency fire axe. I didn't know what I'd do with it. There's no way to fight something you can't even understand. But I wasn't going down without trying. Then, just as suddenly as it started, everything stopped. Silence. The air shifted. The temperature dropped so low we could see our breath. And then, from the ceiling vent, a face peeked through, white, featureless, except for a slit of a mouth that stretched wider and wider until it touched both sides of its face. It whispered, almost gently, "You shouldn't have looked." The vent burst open. The next thing I remember, I was outside. The police lights flashing red and blue, EMTs everywhere, the principal talking to officers pale as chalk. They told me I was found alone in the gym, sitting against the door holding an axe, mumbling 8:17 over and over. They said there was no sign of the coach or the players. The cameras glitched out during the entire lockdown, and when they checked the PA system logs, there was no announcement recorded. They ruled it as a tragic disappearance case. The school shut down for a month. When it reopened, they replaced the gym doors completely. But here's the thing. Every night shift since then, when the building's empty and I'm mopping near the gym, my watch always freezes at 8:17, and sometimes, when I look up at those high windows, I see that silhouette pressed against the glass, upside down, waiting. I've never talked about that day. Not to my wife, not to the police, not even to the counselor the school forced me to see afterward. Because how do you explain something like that without sounding insane? How do you explain that a lockdown wasn't caused by a shooter or a threat, but by something wearing the shape of a person? It happened 3 years ago, when I was teaching English at a small middle school in rural Washington. It wasn't a bad place, tight community, polite kids, the kind of school that still did morning announcements over the intercom. I was in my 5th year teaching, comfortable enough that I could joke with the staff and still be respected by the students. The day it happened started off like any other. A gray Friday morning, drizzle on the windows, the smell of coffee in the hall. My first class was 8th grade literature, about 20 kids, mostly well-behaved except for the usual handful who lived for attention. At 7:30 a.m., the front office called my room. "Mr. Danner, we'll need you to come by and sign for your substitute paperwork." That threw me off. "Substitute paperwork?" I asked. "Just protocol," the secretary replied, "for the sub covering Mrs. Fuller's class across the hall. You'll be her check-in teacher for the day." Mrs. Fuller was out sick a lot lately. I didn't think much of it, just signed the form, initialed where she pointed, and went back to my room. That's when I saw him. He was standing at the far end of the hallway, tall, thin, wearing a plain gray button-up and black slacks. No jacket, no teacher badge. His hair was slicked back too neatly, almost unnaturally, like he'd copied the idea of how a teacher should look. When he saw me, he smiled. It was the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Morning," I said, forcing a polite nod. He tilted his head slightly, still smiling. Then he said in a calm, measured tone, "Good morning." "Mr. Danner," I paused. "You know my name already?" He just nodded, didn't ask my name back, didn't extend a hand, just stood there. I remember thinking maybe he was socially awkward, maybe new to subbing, so I let it go. By second period, the kids in my class were restless. The weather was gloomy, rain streaking down the windows, thunder rumbling in the distance. They kept glancing at the door, whispering about the new sub across the hall. Is it true he doesn't talk? One girl, Abby, asked, "What do you mean?" I asked. "My friend in Fuller's class says he just stands there during reading time. Doesn't move, doesn't even blink." I laughed it off. "You're exaggerating. He's probably just strict." But a weird feeling crawled up my spine anyway. Halfway through the lesson, I glanced through the narrow window in the classroom door and saw him, standing perfectly still in the hallway, facing my door, just standing, no clipboard. No papers, no reason to be there. Our eyes met. He didn't look away. I shut the blinds. Third period started. We were reading The Telltale Heart, which in hindsight was way too on the nose. When I opened the classroom door to let the next group in, the hallway was empty again, but the lights flickered once, twice, and I noticed something written on the floor near the lockers in black marker. He hears through glass. I figured it was some kid's weird graffiti, though I'd never seen handwriting like that, each letter perfectly straight like typewritten text. During lunch, I went to the teacher's lounge, but no one was there. Usually the place was full of chatter, coffee brewing, microwaves beeping. That day, nothing. The clock on the wall was frozen at 12:08 p.m. I checked my phone. Also, 12:08, the rain had stopped, but the world outside the windows looked off, like the light was filtered through dirty water. Then over the PA system came the announcement. Attention, staff and students. We are now under lockdown. This is not a drill. A heavy metallic click echoed through the halls, the sound of the magnetic locks engaging. My stomach sank. I ran to my classroom. The students were already huddled under desks, eyes wide, some crying. I locked the door, killed the lights, and whispered for everyone to stay quiet. And then I saw movement through the sliver of window in the door. Someone was walking slowly down the hallway. Long legs, black slacks, gray shirt, the substitute. But his arms were too long. They hung past his knees. His head jerked every few steps, like a glitch in a video. He stopped at my door. I held my breath. He leaned forward until his face was pressed against the glass, the same faint smile twisting his mouth. The lights flickered again, and for a split second, I saw something behind his reflection, like a swarm of black veins crawling under his skin. Then he spoke, but his lips didn't move. I can hear you breathing. The kids whimpered. I motioned for silence, but one of them, poor Jacob, started crying softly. The thing outside tilted its head, listening. You should not make noise, it whispered, voice echoing through the vents this time. Noise opens doors. Every lock in the hallway clicked. One by one, I could hear them disengaging, doors unlocking themselves. The sound got closer. Click, click, click. I backed away from the door, my heart pounding. Everyone into the storage closet, I whispered. We crammed inside, maybe a dozen of us in total darkness. I could smell the fear, the sweat, the tears. Outside, footsteps, slow, barefoot now, then scratching, at the door. Long nails dragging down the wood, steady and deliberate, then a whisper, right at the crack of the door. Mr. Danner, you signed for me. My blood turned to ice. How the hell did it know that? I don't know how long we stayed there. Could have been minutes, could have been hours. Eventually, the footsteps faded. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing, so I opened it. Just a crack. The hallway was dark, only the emergency exit light glowing red. No sign of the substitute. No students, nothing. But every door down the hall stood open, even Mrs. Fuller's. I told the kids to stay put, grabbed the metal ruler from my desk, like that would do anything, and stepped out. The first thing I noticed was the temperature. The air was freezing and every breath came out white. The fluorescent bulbs overhead buzzed and flickered, some bursting with tiny pops. Then I saw the floor, black handprints, hundreds of them, crawling up the walls, across the lockers, over the ceiling. They weren't painted, they were burned into the surface. Inside Mrs. Fuller's classroom, all the desks were gone. Just gone. The walls were bare except for one thing, scrawled across the whiteboard in perfect handwriting. The substitute does not leave until the lesson is over. Then I heard the PA again. Mr. Danner, please return to your classroom. It was his voice. I ran. The sound of footsteps echoed behind me, too fast, too uneven, like someone sprinting on all fours. I slammed my classroom door shut just as something hit it from the other side. Hard. The kids screamed. The glass window in the door began to stretch inward, as if something was pressing its face against it from outside, but not glass. Flesh. The outline of eyes and a mouth formed in the distortion. And from the other side, I heard the voice again. "You signed the paper. That means you're staying after class." The PA system crackled with static and a second voice overlapped it. Fainter, panicked. "This is Officer Keller. If anyone is inside the building, remain still. We have multiple calls about intruders." Then the line went dead. The lights exploded overhead. When I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in the classroom anymore. I was standing in the gym, empty bleachers. Dusty air. My students gone. The exit doors chained shut from the inside, and in the middle of the court stood a tall figure in gray, the substitute. But now, his proportions were completely wrong. His torso stretched too long. His mouth split into a vertical slit that reached his collarbone. Teeth glistening like broken glass. He pointed at me. "Class is not dismissed." Every light in the gym turned off at once. I ran. I don't even remember which direction. Just ran blind until my hands hit a wall. The floor beneath me rippled like water and I heard voices whispering inside it. Familiar ones. My students. Calling for help. Then silence. When I turned back, the substitute was gone. I woke up in the nurse's office disoriented, throat raw from screaming. The police said they found me unconscious in the gym, no one else in the building. Every door had been locked from the inside. No sign of forced entry. All 12 of my students were missing. Every clock in the building stopped at 12:08 p.m. The exact time of the lockdown announcement, security footage showed static from 12:08 to 12:43. When the video resumed, all the classrooms were empty, and in one frame, barely visible through distortion, a tall figure in gray was standing at the end of the hall, facing the camera. The school closed indefinitely after that. They said it was a traumatic incident still under investigation. But a month later, I got a letter. No return address. Inside was a single piece of paper. Typed, "Thank you for covering my class, Mr. Danner. Next time, please remember to dismiss your students before leaving." Underneath the words was a faint black fingerprint. Burned into the paper. It's been 3 years. I moved states, changed careers, started over. But last week, while walking past my daughter's school, I saw him again, standing by the fence, gray shirt, same fixed smile. He raised a hand slowly and waved at me. And when the school bell rang, I worked nights as a part-time security guard at my old high school, a quiet district building built in the 1950s, all humming lights and tiled corridors that never lost their echo. They hired me because I knew the place. I figured it would be easy money. Walk the halls, check the doors, listen to the rain on the roof. The school slept and I was its only heartbeat. Most nights were uneventful until the night the announcements began. The first voice hit was a Tuesday in early March. 10:42 p.m. I just finished my first round and was sitting in the front office, sipping vending machine coffee that tasted like burnt dust. The building was dead quiet except for the hum of the intercom system. It always gave a low, static whine, like it was breathing. I'd grown used to it, then the speakers clicked on. "Attention. Please remain where you are. We are now under lockdown." This is not a drill. I froze. No one was supposed to be in the main office, let alone using the PA. I glanced at the monitor, empty halls. Checked the control board, the PA light wasn't even on. I grabbed my radio. "Dispatch, this is Unit 3 at Fairview High. We've got a false lockdown alert. Can you confirm system test?" "Static, no reply. Lock all doors. Stay away from windows." The voice was feminine, calm, almost soothing. But it wasn't our principal or any staff I knew. The tone was too measured, like a recording built from perfect syllables. I walked to the office door. The hallway lights flickered, and somewhere far down the corridor, a classroom door slammed shut, hard enough to shake the glass. Echo in the hall, he called out, "Maintenance? Anyone still here?" Silence. The PA crackled again. "Proceed to the nearest secure room." "Do not use the main entrance," my radio hissed. Then a second voice whispered through the static, "Don't let her see you." I spun in a circle, scanning the empty hall. No one there. I moved toward the central wing, my flashlight cutting through the dark. The smell of ozone filled the air, like a thunderstorm trapped inside concrete walls. Room 112's door handle was twitching. Slowly. Left. Right. Left. I lifted my keyring to unlock it, but before I touched the metal, the movement stopped. Then, behind the narrow window in the door, a pale face pressed against the glass, motionless. Eyes black as ink, I stumbled backward. The lights overhead popped, showering dust. The face vanished. Frozen time. When I looked at my watch, the second hand was stuck at 10:47. I tapped it. Nothing. Every clock in the hall showed the same time. Please remain calm, the PA breathed. An intruder has been contained. Contained where? I bolted back toward the front office to call 911, but the main hallway looked different. The exit at the end, double glass doors, was gone. In its place, another corridor stretched deeper into the dark, lined with lockers that didn't belong to any floor plan I knew. The air turned heavy, warm, like breathing inside someone else's lungs. I heard footsteps behind me, bare, wet, uneven. I shined my light. A girl stood there, student uniform, hair dripping onto the floor as if she'd walked out of a lake. Her eyes were wide, her mouth opening and closing like she was trying to speak but couldn't draw breath. Hey, are you okay? The school's in lockdown, I said. She raised a shaking hand and pointed at the ceiling speaker. She never stops, she whispered, voice cracked and small. Once you hear her, you stay. Then she blinked out, not vanished, blinked, like a skipped frame. The endless corridor I ran. I don't even remember choosing a direction, just running until my lungs burned. Every hallway fed into another, repeating layouts I recognized but twisted. The same trophy case, the same posters, the same bulletin board repeating every 30 feet. Lockdown in effect. The speaker purred overhead. Students are safe. Remain still. I smashed my flashlight against a locker, just to make noise, to feel real. The intercom responded. Instantly. Noise is non-compliance. The entire corridor vibrated with bass so low it rattled my ribs. Lockers began opening one by one, doors yawning like mouths. From the darkness inside each came a whisper. My name. I bolted through a stairwell door, slammed it behind me, and leaned against the cold concrete wall. My radio crackled again, this time a man's voice. Security 3, this is dispatch. Where the hell are you? Your GPS shows you inside the old East Wing. That building's been sealed since 2014. Old East Wing, my stomach dropped. That section burned down a decade ago. Students died there during a chemical fire. The doors were welded shut. I forced myself to answer. Dispatch, I'm in the main. But when I opened the stairwell door again, I was in the East Wing charred lockers. Walls blistered black. The smell of burned plastic thick in my throat, and the PA followed me here, clear as ever. All students report to room 112. Attendance will be taken. Room 112, as smoke clung to the ceiling. The floor tiles melted into waves. I stepped carefully toward the classroom sign, barely hanging by one screw. 112. Inside, rows of desks faced a single chalkboard. Each desk had a binder open, pages filled with the same sentence over and over. We heard the announcement. In the teacher's chair sat a shape, tall, thin and wrong. Its head tilted when I entered, vertebrae clicking like beads. When it spoke, the sound came not from its mouth but from every speaker in the room. Welcome back, Officer Reed. You never checked this room. The smell of burnt hair hit me. I took a step back. Who are you? I am protocol. I am the voice that keeps them safe. Behind it, shadows began to rise from the floor. Children-shaped, featureless silhouettes, their outlines buzzing like bad reception. They listened, the voice said. Now you will too. The door slammed. My flashlight went dead. The broadcast, there was no up or down after that, just blackness and sound. The PA wasn't a system anymore. It was everywhere. Hundreds of overlapping announcements flooded my head. Remain calm. Do not run. You are safe here. Do not attempt to leave. Each sentence repeated until it blurred into a mechanical prayer. I felt hands, small, cold, grabbing at my legs. I swung blindly, connected with something solid. A scream, not human, too metallic, ripped through the dark. Then silence again, except for one whisper directly in my ear. Once the announcement starts, it must end. 7, back to the office light returned like a flood. I was standing in the front office again, sweating, breathing hard. Coffee spilled across the desk. The clock read 10:42 p.m., the exact moment it had all begun. I checked the PA board. Every light dark. The mic unplugged. Had I fallen asleep? Then my radio chirped, normal tone, clear voice. Unit 3 status check? My throat tightened. All good. Must have had a system glitch. Copy that. See you at shift change. I almost believed it, until I noticed the office window. Through the glass, the hallway lights were still flickering, and down at the far end stood that same wet-haired girl. She lifted her hand slowly and pressed it to the glass. And from the ceiling speaker above my desk, the calm, perfect voice returned. Attention staff, we are now under lockdown. This is not a drill. Aftermath, they found me the next morning sitting in the hallway. My uniform burned at the edges, fingernails packed with soot. Security footage showed me walking the halls alone, talking to empty air. No announcements were recorded. Dispatch logs proved no transmissions left my radio after 10:42 p.m. The East Wing? Still welded shut. But there's one last thing. When the district replaced the PA system 2 weeks later, the technician called me personally, he said while removing the main intercom chip. He found an audio file embedded deep in the memory, time-stamped the night of the incident. Only one phrase repeated in an endless loop. End of announcement pending authorization. Please remain where you are. It's been months. I quit security work, moved across the state, tried to forget, but sometimes late at night, my home smoke detector clicks on for no reason, and from its tiny speaker, I hear that same voice, soft and clear. Attention, we are now under lockdown. This is not a drill, and every clock in my house freezes at 10:42 p.m.